Yeah, just like that. You don't want the tiger to get you.
Asante sana, that means thank you in Swahili, and we also say Jambo. So Jambo, everybody, my name's Amaya. We're tour guide today through Harambe's Wildlife Reserve. Now keep in mind that reserves are protected pieces of land that are set aside to keep those animals safe. So just remember while we drive through it, remain seated and keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Now we do have a few trucks ahead of us to enter first, so while we wait, you can look above your head on the truck. There's that animal spot and guide right above your seat on the canopy. So definitely giving you a good idea of those animals we'll be looking for out there. I do encourage you to take photos of those gorgeous animals, but it gets really tricky at times. There's lots of these bumpy roads and animal movement, so I would do live mode or try to record a video so that way you don't get any blurry photos on our trip. Alright, now at this point there's just one more truck ahead of us, so we'll be entering very shortly. And the name of this reserve is Harambe's Wildlife Reserve. And Harambe actually does mean coming together or working together in the language of Swahili. So we all do here to make sure the animals are safe for generations to come. I will let you know we'll be starting in the forest this morning as well, and I'm sure you all know that forest animals can be a little bit shy at times. Sometimes they're using that camouflage to hide from any predators, so we do have to keep that in mind as we start our safari. And if you happen to see anything before anyone else does, you can absolutely point it out for the rest of us. And at this point, if you see the lantern hanging on the right side, that's kind of like our green light. So once we have a solid lantern, that does mean it's safe to enter the reserve. So that's the only thing we're waiting for now.
When that lantern lights up, that means we're safe to go. The lantern right there. Up there on the yeah, we gotta wait for it to light up. It lit up. They're signaling us. They're signaling us to go.
Alright, so it looks like we've got the all clear. We're going to go ahead and start our trip in the Little Laturi Forest. And like I mentioned, the animals can be a little bit shy, so you can let us know if you see anything hiding or using that camouflage. This is really nice weather for the animals. Of course, it's very cool for them, and they absolutely enjoy that. So I'm seeing a couple of things here. On the right, there is an okapi on the hill back against the bamboo. And then on the left, you may see some birds way up there on the hill. Those are saddle-billed storks. Now, saddle-billed storks will be 5 feet tall, and then that wingspan is about 9 feet wide, so about the size of that canopy that is right above you there. And then for the okapi, as we make this turn, if you keep an eye out in the back right corner, you might start to see that they have stripes like a zebra, but only on their legs. Now, even though okapis have zebra stripes, they are related to the giraffe only, and that's because they happen to have the same tongue. And it's called prehensile. That means finger-like, so they'll be using it to reach out and grab all the leaves that they need to survive up here. Oh, I see someone across the water very close to us there on the left. Looking at the black rhino. It's a rhino.
He's laying down on the rock. Is it rhino?
Now, black rhinos are the smallest rhino species in Africa, but they'll soon be about 3,000 pounds, able to charge at about 35 miles an hour as well. Now we are going to get to some forest antelopes now. So the bongos are these orangey brown ones up on the right. They're kind of moving along the hills there. It's pretty cool to see bongos as well. They're known as the ghost of the forest, so one of the shyest animals. Got the backwards horns on them they're using to cut through all this vegetation as well. And the greater kudu are the lighter brown ones out there, and they are known for being really tall, so a good 5 feet tall at the shoulder for them. You might have a bongo that's interested in crossing the road here ahead of us. So why don't we go ahead and give him a few seconds to decide what he's going to do. Yeah, I think he's going to go ahead and cross. So We'll see. Now, male and female bongos, they both have horns, but I know this is a male because they're darker in color a little bit. You might be able to tell compared to the ones we saw back there. So looks like he safely made it out of the road, so we'll go ahead and continue down to our next stop. We're headed a little bit closer to some water, so called the Safi River. Now, we do know the forests are home to lots of these really gorgeous animals, but there is a very cool mineral that comes from this place as well. It is called coltan, and without coltan, our phones and iPads and laptops would never be able to charge. It's essential for the battery. Now, with that comes a very high demand, but as always, there is something that we can do. We can just recycle electronics when we're done with them. Give it back to your provider. They will take that coltan out, use it in a new device to try to protect those forests for us and those animals out there. Okay, I'm looking at some shadows in the water. You might see some hippo movement. If not, we might see some more in just a few moments, and we'll get to them. We also have these really cool pink-backed pelicans who really get their name because their backs will be turning pink during mating season. They can live in groups up to 500 birds at a time. Oh, there's some more hippos on the left. They're in the water, right behind that little piece of land. That's pretty common to find hippos just like this. They love the water. It's very helpful. They can hold their breath for about 5 minutes at a time. And even instead of swimming, hippos will usually sink down to the bottom and they'll start walking to get around easier because some of those hippos can weigh 5,500 pounds. You've probably heard that they're very territorial animals, and that is very true. Hippos have a couple of these really big teeth that can reach 18 inches long. They're using to protect their land, and most importantly, they're protecting their young from any predators. So I will let you know we are going to keep an eye out for some predators out here. I'll let you know if I see anything. It sounds like the truck ahead of us, or a couple trucks ahead of us, might be holding for some animals in the road, just like we just did with the bongo. So I'm not sure. I'll listen to the radio up here and let you know if they tell us what's happening there. But that's probably what's happening. Some animal waiting them to get to the other side. Now about predators in the Safi River. I think the most common one is a Nile crocodile. So we're looking for some scales, if anything. And the crocs are a little bit hard to miss. So about 16 feet long for them and 500 pounds. Crocs will actually eat half of their body weight in just one meal. Alright, so whatever animal was crossing is obviously clear out of the road, so we are going to continue. See if we can find anyone else. Yep, there is a cross in the water on the left side, and that shallow water down there. Pounds, able to eat about half of that body weight in just a meal. And also as it warms up, you'll see crocs will come out on land, kind of lay around with their mouth wide open. And that's because reptiles can't sweat at all, so that helps them get rid of any of the extra body heat, just trying to keep themselves cool. I will let you know we are on our way to the savannah where all of that activity is happening of the animals in and out of the road. So it might take us a few extra moments to get there, but the good news is they're out and they're active, so that's a great sign. Especially for the savannah, animals are we are starting at a pretty high point this morning, so once this truck ahead of us heads down, we'll be able to see out there and down there and see any animals we might be getting a little bit closer to. And if we don't get really close right away, no worries, gotta go to 110 acres to explore, but the animals do as well. So we'll start to catch up within the next few minutes. I will say there is a very iconic tree to our right as well. Calling it the baobab. You know it as the tree of life. Now we will get back to those trees because we are starting out with two amazing animals. I'm looking at a zebra down there, down the hill, and you might also be able to see a Maasai giraffe. If you don't yet, you can get your cameras ready because I'll definitely be stopping for a few seconds. I think that's pretty cool to get a zebra and a giraffe in one photo. We'll also keep a careful eye out for any young zebras because they are extremely smart. They will be memorizing their mom's stripes. Tell her apart from the rest of the dazzle. That is what a group of zebras is really called. Works out for them because no two will ever have that same stripe pattern. It's kind of like our fingerprints. Now, of course, giraffes are the tallest animals in the world, so they can be anywhere between 16 and 20 feet tall. And then even a little baby giraffe, still born at 6 foot. Now, it looks like there's a lot of movement from giraffes out there, so we'll see if we can find some more. But in the meantime, I want to see what's going on up here. I'm looking for a painted dog. There they are. A couple of painted dogs. They do get their name, the painted dogs. They've got those really unique coats on them, and I know they do look so cute, like some other dogs that we know. Painted dogs are the most successful hunters across Africa, so even more successful than a cheetah could be. They're down to hunt down their prey to the absolute point of exhaustion. Look at this giraffe up on the right too. Oh, look at that! Look at Sean. Elands on the left side. This is a really big antelope species back there, so you can be about 6 feet tall at the shoulder, 2,000 pounds, still leaping 5 feet up in the air despite that size. And then the sable antelopes, who are the darker ones on the left, this is a really impressive species as well because they will fight back every single time in fight or flight situations. So the sables are able to defeat animals like lions or cheetahs if they wanted to. We know animals like giraffes are more likely to fight to run away, but luckily they're quick, about 30 miles an hour for them. And then that giraffe on the right is definitely on the younger side. So I mentioned they're born at 6 foot. To be honest, he looks to be closer to 12 feet already, so he might be about a year and a half. And just like the oak copy we saw back in the forest, they've got the same tongue, but the giraffe's tongue is 18 inches long. They're using it to reach up and grab all of the leaves that are taller than they are, as we saw. And you'll notice lots of the animals we see out here, they're going to be eating, especially those giraffes and zebras. They do need a lot of food. They'll eat for 20 hours of every single day. So it's kind of like the natural lawnmowers of their land as well. So we're not going to eat all of that food, but animals like giraffes, they only sleep for around 30 minutes every day. It's not even all at once. They'll easily get by on a couple of 5-minute naps here and there. Looks like the zebras are kind of following us back here. We've got a giraffe that is either in the road or really close to the road. Let's see. Right
Let me get a picture.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Alright, so extremely lucky encounters here on the last savannah for sure. Do you believe there is another species up here on the right? I guess they're pretty small, but if we happen to see a springbok up there, it's kind of tiny with light brown coloring on their back, we'll definitely get a better view right here on the right. They'll spring about 6 feet up, about 13 feet forward in a big leap too. And actually they can reach 55 miles an hour, so only 5 miles short of a cheetah. Alright, now I am seeing a lot of knockdown trees, which honestly that's okay on a reserve area. A very big and a very strong animal made its way back here. Oh, I think I skipped on the right side. We are looking at the African elephants. This might be the biggest elephant we got to see. That actually looks like a fully grown bull to me, so they can easily be 13,000 pounds, and they'll usually be traveling solo. Now before I get back to the elephants, there's someone on the left that looks like a female mandrill monkey.
Look,
A couple of them.
monkeys. See the monkeys? See the monkeys? See them in the trees right there?
They look like, what are they called?
The males are known to be like Rafiki. They've got more so the bright colors on them. They get the brighter, the happier they get. And then for that elephant, I mentioned that was a male, so they'll be traveling solo, but we aren't really done with elephant territory. We're gonna keep on going, see if we can find anyone else out here. If we happen to see any more elephants and they're all together, that's usually a female group. They'll be living in a matriarchy. They're a little bit smaller in size, so still around 8,000 pounds though. And we will be using this bridge ahead of us to go ahead and cross over into that other side of elephant country. Although the truck ahead of us has stopped again, so I'm sure there's some more animals in the road, but as you saw, it's kind of worth the wait with all that activity out there. Now we also really like to look out for elephants that could be flapping their ears, because it's true their ears are just like really big fans to them. So when they do that, it will be lowering their body temperature about 15 degrees. So pretty handy when you're in the heat for most of the year. Alright, looks like the trucks are back on the move, so we'll continue across the bridge. Now it is very true they'll knock down trees to get their food, which might sound a little bit crazy to us, but really it does help a lot of those animals out there, like little giraffes, young springboks, and young zebras, get different nutrition from different leaves that they wouldn't really be able to reach on their own. So just one example on how a lot of the animals out here, they're kind of depending on each other, and they probably don't even realize it. Alright, we've got this red clay on either side of us as well. It's a good sign of elephants, so you might see this stuff. So you might see some tusk marks on the right, or maybe some elephant footprints down on the left. And clay basically just has lots of minerals in it that vegetation doesn't have, so it's like they're eating some vitamins. Most adult elephants, though, they'll need to eat a couple 100 pounds of vegetation every day. And we know what makes them unique, of course, is that trunk, which alone can have thousands and thousands of muscles inside of it. And I do think that's pretty impressive, because we only have about 600 muscles in our entire body. So it really goes to show you how strong and flexible their trunks are. Pretty much good for grabbing all that food. They can get a couple gallons of water in their trunk at a time. And they'll even use their trunk to throw that mud on their back. It's kind of like a sunblock to them, because elephants do have some pretty sensitive skin. might see an elephant that's way up on the left side. If you see those baobab trees that I talked about before, it's kind of way past them. So luckily we are headed that way, so we are going to keep an eye out. Again, just one elephant, probably a male, couple elephants, most likely a female group. If we see a young elephant, that's definitely a good sign of ladies all together. And they do wait about 22 months for their baby to be born, so almost 2-year pregnancy for them. Got more of those trees around us, the trees of life that hold all of that water in them, keeping those animals hydrated and alive for 9 months when there's not much rain. It looks like the zebras came to this side of the savannah now, so we'll definitely see the dazzle that we saw earlier to our right. These are specifically the Hartman Mountain zebra, so they do have an extra little piece of skin under their neck. It's called a dewlap, and their blood can flow through that and keep their body cool, kind of like a natural air conditioner. Is it very handy? Again, kind of like the elephants flapping their ears during those hot days. Alright, we are going to head through the watering hole to the other side of the water where those greater flamingos spend most of their time. That is a big flamingo species, so I'd say just under 5 foot. And I do see another elephant way out on the left side, past the grass, after the flamingos. Now with the hatch, of course, they're pretty small, or mostly white or gray, a little bit fluffy, and it can take up to 2 years for pink coloring to fully come about, and that is from all of the brine shrimp that they eat. We'll be headed into the east side of the savannah back here. If you want, you can peek on the left side after we cross over, because you might see that one other elephant. And then other than that, I see a lot of mud, which not only elephants love as their sunblock, but lots of animals use mud kind of like a natural insect repellent, so that way they don't get any bites or stings. So we'll keep that in mind as well. But for the most part, the animals back here can camouflage like the forest, or like the animals in the forest. Well, on the right, I am seeing a white rhino this time to the left of that dirt road. We are headed that way, so I'll be sure to stop next to them once we get closer. I will let you know, back in this area, we usually find an animal that can double the speed of a rhino. They do use their black polka dots to camouflage, so we are going to start looking out for those cheetahs. They definitely prefer these hills up on the left side, which it looks like there is a cheetah right above those orange stones that's taking a rest. So if you move up, or if you move up a little bit, right above those orange stones, there's one resting, and another one walking way up on the left side through the bushes.
See the cheetah? And there's one coming down. Oh wow. See the cheetah walking this way?
Now cheetahs, of course, are the fastest animals on land. They can reach 60 miles an hour in just about 3 seconds. Now they will be doing their hunting during the daylight. They've got those natural streaks under their eyes that protect them against the sun. It's kind of like athletes wearing eye black to try to do the same thing. Ooh, we are definitely not done with cats. We made it to Pride Rock. And why don't you start looking at the very top there? There's a lioness.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
It's on this one. Now the locals do call it the Kopi. These are, again, the islands of stone. That's really good as a vantage point for it, but of course a really good place to nap as well, because lions need a lot of sleep, sometimes 20 hours of it. Oh, a male lion on the left side too. Why don't we try to catch up to him?
Oh my gosh, look at this one right there.
You might see that rhino we saw earlier too. It looks like she's on the right side there.
Look at lion on this rock right here.
Oh yeah, the two lionesses are way up at the top there, so you can see a snake.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow.
Now lionesses will go out and do the hunting at night. Lions will stay behind and protect territory and any cubs that they might have. Alright, let's go ahead and see if we can find that rhino again. So we'll be looking up towards the right side for the white rhino. They can be 5,000 pounds, so that'll be a ton heavier than the first one we saw.
Yeah.
Now some cultures do believe their horn has some type of medicinal value to us, but we do not need those horns at all. It's just keratin, so we all have that stuff in our nails and our hair. And I know that we didn't really see an ostrich, but I do see some eggs down here on the right. We happen to see these really big and yellow eggs. They do belong to the largest bird in the world. So that ostrich will be able to reach 9 feet tall, so their eggs, of course, are pretty big, about 3 pounds each. So the same weight of 24 chicken eggs can fit in just one ostrich egg. And it's really strong too, because we'd be able to walk right on the top of them and they wouldn't break. Now it looks like we made it into Magadi Glen. This is our last stop of the day. Once again, we're looking for those Nigerian dwarf goats. They might look a little bit small, but they're fully grown adults.
I like your little goats. You like the goats, Fran?
Now the warden out here does enjoy caring for those cute animals, of course, and in turn they'll use some dairy products, maybe provide some income for family while they're also caring for those animals around them. And speaking of caring for the animals around us, you know, there's lots of those small things we do that make a really big difference, right? So it could be as simple as keeping your flowers outside for those pollinators in your area. We're just trying to build a birdhouse with some things at home together and give some birds another place to hang out. And like I mentioned, in the forest you can always recycle your electronics if you happen to have that coltan in them that comes from these animals' environments. And I know it might not sound like a really big deal to us, but truly it means the world to those animals out there. Alright, well, if we have any wilderness explorers on board, you need to tell them you were on the Simba 1. That is Simba, like the lion and the number 1 to like your safari badge. And if you enjoyed seeing the animals out there, don't forget about Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. As you exit the safari, it is a walking trail that you can bring strollers and wheelchairs and scooters with you, and you have a really good chance of getting close to some gorillas out there. Now there is a family group and a bachelor group, so there are a ton of gorillas to spot. There's also a monkey species that lives out there, and you might even see some reptiles and birds that come from Africa, as well as 4 zebras, an underwater viewing pool of the hippos. You can help you see how to get around there. There's also a trail here that features Asian animals like tigers and Komodo dragons, giant fruit bats, and water buffalo. So if those are animals you'd like to see too, you can go ahead to the Maharaja Jungle Trek. Now again, those walking trails, they should take around 25 minutes, but you can spend as much time as you'd like on those trails admiring the animals. There's also benches and shady places to sit and observe if you'd like to do that as well. Now, it does look like our adventure on the truck, though, will be coming to an end. So, in Harambe, we don't really like to say goodbye. It's a little bit sad for us. It's a little bit final, too. So, we'll be saying Kwaherini. And Kwaherini does need to go as well.